still reading a news book, and it's called The Swift Family Robinson. Okay, we always have our contents page, so we'll move to chapter. Now, here we have the age of the family member. Okay, I'll read for you. Mr. Robinson, age 40. Mrs. Robinson, age 35. Frisch, age 16. Edison's, age 30. Jack, age 10. Franz, age 8. Okay, let's read chapter 1. Chapter 1. Shipwreck and alone. When one had a good tale to tell, he should try to be brave and not say more than he can help. So I shall not say a word that what took place on board the ship till we had been 6 days in a storm. The ship had gone far out of her true course, and no one on board knew where we are. The mast lay in the spit on the deck and leaned into the side of the ship and let more in than the crew would pump out. Each one felt that before long he would finally give in the deep sea. We said it spread from side to side of what was now but a mahawk. Come, boys, I said to my 4 sons who were with me. God can save us if it please him to do so. But if this be to be our last hour, let us bow to him. Bow to his will. We shall at least go down side by side. My dear wife could not hide the tear that fell down her cheeks as the tongue spoke my sons, but she was called and knelt down to say why the boys clung round as her if they thought she could help them. Then just then we heard a cry, "Land, land!" We felt a shock, and it was clear that we had struck rock. For we heard a loud cry from one of the men, "We are lost! Launch the boat! Save yourself!" I went at once on the deck, and we found that all the boats had been let down, and that the last of the crew had just left the ship. I cried out for the men to come back and take us with them, but it was in vain. I then thought that our last chance would go, so I felt our ship was not sinking. I felt to stand, and I found to my joy that he would help after his umbrella on each side and struck fast in like a web. At the time, I saw some trace of land which lay to the south, and this made me return to my family with some hope that we still find a chance. As soon as I got downstairs, I took my wife by the hand and said, Be good, cheer. We are at least safe for some time, and if the wind should change, we may yet reach a land that lies but a short way off. I said this is calm and fierce of my wife and sons, and it did so more than I had a right to hope. Let us eat some fruit, said my wife. We are sure to need it, and for this will no doubt be a night to try our strength. My wife got some food for the boys, which we were glad to see them eat, poor as it was, but we would not share their meal. 3 out of the 4 were put in bed and soon went to sleep, but Frizzy, who was our first child, children were not leaving. He said, like a good son, that he would try to be some use and think what could be done if we could but find some corn. Fritz says to me low tone, we might float. You and I will not need them, for we can swim. but the rest will need such means to keep them up. A good thought, I said. Let us try to find what things we are in the ship that we can make use of. My son found some balls and ropes, and with these we made a kind of boat for each of the 3 boys, and then my wife made one for her own use. This that he got some nice string and such things that we could search to our belts. We did not fail to look for and found a flint and steel and the box in which the burned brass were kept. For these were at the time in the means of lighting a fire. Pierce, who had now well worn out, lay down on his bed and slept like the rest. As for me and my poor wife, we kept watching each time, fear lest the next wave should lift the ship off the rock and break it up. I need not you how glad we all were. We saw the first gleam of light at dawn. The wind did not blow so strongly. The sky was clear of clouds, and we saw the sun rise, and with it rose our hope. I soon had my wife and sons on deck. Where are the men? They said. How can we steer the boats? My dear boys, I said, he who has kept us safe till now we steer and say, let our hands set to work and leave the rest to God. At these words we all went to work with will. My wife went to feed the livestock. Fritz set off in search of weapons, and Alice made his way to the tool chest. Jack ran to pick up what he could find, but as he got one of the doors, he gave it a push, and 2 huge dogs sprang out and leaped at him. He thought at first they would bite him, but he soon found that they meant no harm, and one of them let him get on his back and ride up to me as I came from the bottom of the ship. When the boys had done their search, we sprawled on deck. We thought we had found all that we should need. As for me, said my wife, I have brought good news, for we still have a boat cow, a donkey, 2 goats, 6 sheep, a ram, a pig, and a sow, and I have food for them all. That all that you bring will be used, I said. But I fear that Jack's dog will do us more harm than good. Not at all, said Jack, for they can help us hunt when we get to land. Well, said Jack, and let us see what we can do that will aid us to get there. We then took the bars that we had found and arrows, and I soon cut them in half. With this tub we made a kind of raft through. It was no slight task. The tubs, in fact, were 8 small round boats, tied so tightly together that no one of them could float away from the rest. The next thing to be done was to launch the raft. This was finally did, and when the boys saw it slide down the side of the ship and float on the sea, they gave a loud shout, and each one tried to should be the first to get on it. I tied the securely to the boat and left it there. I then told my wife to change her clothes and wear some of those left by the crew, as her shirt would have got in her way when she had to climb. She did not like this at first, but did so as soon as she saw the truth of what I told her. At last, when all was done, we went to bed and slept as soundly as we had been on land. We were all up at the break of day and knelt down to thank God that He had kept us from harm through the night. We then put all the things on the raft. 10 live hens and 2 roosters were put in one of the tubs. Some ducks and geese were let go in the hope they would swim to the shore, and a pair of doves were set free. As they would fly to land, there was a place in the raft for each of us. In the first tub sat my wife, in the next bench, who was nearly 8 years old, in the third Fritz, not quite 16, in the fourth were the falls and some old sails that would make us attend. The fifth was full of good things and well food. In 16th to Jack, about land 10 years old. In the next Francis, 30 years of age, well taught, but too fond of himself and less found of work than the rest. I sat in the 8th to guard the rep that was to save all that was dear to me in the world. As soon as the doves, Junie and Turkey by name, saw us push off from the ship, they leaped into the sea behind us, and both began. Large mist kept us with us well. The sea was calm, so that we felt quite safe. We made good use of the oar, and the flat boy is straight to the land. But as we drew near the shore and sight of the bare rocks led us to think that we might still be in need of food and drinks when they which was gone. As we got near the coast, lost in a bare look, and we were glad to see that there was no ledge of trees. We found some bay which the ducks and geese had found their way, and here we saw a place where we would land. As soon as we had made the raft circuit with strong rope, we took out all our wealth and made a tent with the old sailcloth we had brought with us, and struck a pole in the ground and keep it up. This done, I set the boys to get moss and dry grass to make our beds with a blood, and still we soon set fire to some dry twigs, and my wife made a pot of soup which she had brought from the ship. Fritz, who had charge of the guns, chose one and took a stroll by the side of the stream, while Jack sat in the search of shellfish, which he thought he might find on the rocks. My share of the wood would save 2 large berries, which were near the shore. While I was up to, I knew to come from Jack. I got out at once, took an axe, and ran to him. I found him with his legs in a rock pool where a large lobster held him by his toes. It soon made off as I came near, but I struck at it with the axe and brought it out of the pool. Jack then took it up, so he came a pitch or two before he found out how to hold it. I ran up in high glee to show that he had caught. When I got to the tent, I found that Ayres had brought us news that he had seen salt to the chunks of the rocks, and that shellfish were not scarce. Well, my boys, if you saw them, I will ask you to go back for some. We must each do some work for the good of all. He went and soon found the salt left by the sea on the rock, which the sun had made quite dry. There was some sand on it, but my wife did not take a long time to carry that. She had been to the fresh stream with a large jar. From this I saw her pour some on the salt and spread it on a cloth and let it drip in a cup, so that all the salt was left on the cloth. Then the soup was made hot. We had each a taste, and all said that it was good. Don't be too hasty, said my wife. We must wait for phrase, but even if he were here. I do not see how we all eat our soup, for we have no plates or no spoons. We had some large nuts, said Alice. We might cut them in half and they would make good bowls. Quite true, I said, but there are none. Now I have it, replied Alice. We can use the lobster shells I saw on the shore. Up ran Jack to shore and Alice at his heels, and back they both came with large and small shells for us all. Just then Frisk came in and looked of the room of his face, which I see was ashamed. You do not mean to tell me you have come back with nothing, I said, as he put out his hands to prove that such was the case. But Jack, who had been around behind him, cried out, No, he got a pig, such a fine one. Tell us where you found it. Frisk now brought forth his prize. When I saw it, I knew from what I had read up, it was not a pig but an alligator, a strange beast known in this part, and that lives on fruit and nuts and high in earth. I like the place much more than I do this spot, he said. The shore lies low, and these are planks, berry chests, and all sorts of things that the sea has thrown up from the shore. Why not leave this place at once and go there? There is a time for all this, I said. We must at least rest here for one night. We all sat down to take our soup with us. Shell spoons. Alice took from his coat a large bowl-shaped shell, which she had hid till now, filled it with the soup, and sat down to cool. You are very clever, I said to him, but I'm not glad to see that you think only of yourself and do so much for your own ease. Yes, when all the rest of us were together, now that shell full of soup you must give to our 2 dogs. We can all dip our small shells in the pond, and you must do as we do. I knew he felt hurt at this, but he gave it to the dogs at once, and they spoon made quickly for their share of the soup. The sun was low when our meal came to an end. The foals came around us to pick up the stray crumbs we had left for, and my wife took out a bag of grain and fed the roosters and hens and set them to roast on the top of our tent. We took care of our load of our guns in the case we might need them in the night, saying a praise to God, and then our fate in his hand. Okay, guys, I reached you the continent page. Okay, 1. Shipwreck and Alone. Chapter 1, Shipwreck and Alone. Chapter 2, we explore the island. Chapter 3, the treehouse. Chapter 4, a day of rest. Chapter 5, useful discovery. Chapter 6, the rainy season. Chapter 7, the salt cavern. Chapter 8, the farm. Chapter 9, bears and ostriches. Chapter 10, journey. Chapter 11, new street land. Okay, this is the end. Bye.